Hi.
Yeah, buddy came running to join us.
Our most expensive cat recently, because he just had a little trip to the vet. He's all healed up. We obviously just released the Halloween video, and so Serena wants to make this live video.
Yeah, so last week we got distracted and we ended up just chatting. We never talked about this and perennials, but this week we are. So I've given Ian a time limit.
Yeah, she's giving us a half hour.
I told him like 5 minutes because we're super stoked about our Halloween video. So we have to briefly.
Oh, maybe we should first talk about how nice your hair looks.
Yeah, I got a haircut.
Serena's been talking.
I know in the comments everyone was like, "Oh, bangs," but bangs feel normal for me because other than the last few years, I've had bangs for most of my life.
Yep, and I think it turned out perfectly. She went with like a picture and an idea. She's been going to the same hairstylist since you were a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's really good. So she pulled it off.
Yeah, one of these days she's gonna retire. That's the problem with like going to like all the people that you've like gone to since you were a child.
Mm-hmm.
Like my dentist was my childhood dentist. My doctor, he retired. We have to get a new one.
Yep.
All these adult things.
But it looks good, and it looks great for the Halloween spooky video.
Okay, so tell everyone about the Halloween video.
Well, we are really excited about it because normally our videos are like more retrospective, where we just film stuff, what happens, and then we edit it and see what happens with the video. But because of the nature of this video, we had to like storyboard and script the whole thing, which was a lot of work. It was basically the entire last week of our life. We were just working on this video, and we knew it was going to bomb horribly for just the way YouTube works. Because anytime you step outside, what you normally do, unless what you're stepping outside what you normally do is to talk about Bitcoin.
I'm pretty sure if we made a video talking about Bitcoin, it would do very poorly.
Yeah, but your videos just don't perform because your regular subscribers aren't as interested in it. So
I'm just gonna say your time limit is running out, so maybe don't talk about how YouTube works. Talk about. I'm blind today.
I know, I can't see either.
Okay,
I just
we'll pull it down. All right, Halloween video is the best. Thanks so much, Jennifer.
So I've had flower face ideas for a long time, and maybe flower face wasn't exactly how he turned out, but I think that it turned out perfectly. We've been like laughing at it, and I probably watched the last minute of the video, I don't know, 50 times today, like laughing at it every single time. The lips thing, so funny. They are very spicy.
No, it's hilarious. I'm trying to read the comments, but like.
And
okay, I'm gonna be back. These glasses are like literally broken. Like there's too dirty. I can't see the screen.
So Flowerface originally had a bunch of dialogue that we kind of had a different ending written before we came up with the TIL was supposed to be TMI, too much information, but we one take recorded it, and then right at the end when we were editing in the middle of the night we realized that she said the wrong letter acronym. But it was supposed to be too much information, TMI. But, whatever. Everybody, I think, figured out what it meant. And so originally he had a bunch of lines. And it was going to be like, they were kind of like getting to know each other after the market. And he kind of talked like Batman. And he was going to be like, I'm a widow, like saying that he's a widow. He's like, I'm a widow, And then Serena would be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that." After he like kills his wife, and then he'd be like, "She was beautiful, just like you." And then Serena would be like, "Oh, that's so sweet. That's sweet of you to say." Just to give him this like ridiculous personality, and it was gonna be Serena and Flowerface sitting looking at like a seed catalog, like a bunch of flowers, and he was gonna be like, they're all so beautiful. And then Serena would say, Flowerface, we can get any ones you want. And he'd be like, I'm so happy. I could cry. Because he gets to, finally fulfill his full-on flower farm dream. So I don't know. I think I love the character and how he turned out so much. I had been like, we did the mask with like the sheet and stuff. It was just a pillowcase. I think it turned out well like that. But I've always thought, because like the first year that we started growing all this like droopy amaranth, I was like, if you like taped it to your face in like the shape of a mouth and like outlined all of your features with like flowers, with dried flowers, that would be hilarious, right? Because then it would be like, it would move with your face as you talked. But we made it into a mask for simplicity's sake, so that it could be taken on and off. And we together, because we work well together, we kind of like have to fight it out a little bit.
Today I learned. Yeah, I messed up. It was supposed to be TMI.
Yeah, I talked about that briefly.
Yeah.
We each kind of come at the things from a different angle and with different things that we find important. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much, Island Wilderness.
And I had all these jokes that I wanted in, and Serena was really good about kind of like storyboarding all the creepy stuff, because we had talked about like the inspiration of Blair Witch.
Yeah, because I was telling Ian, I was like, oh, I want it to be like a Blair Witch like horror.
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't want shaky cam. I'm like, no, not like shaky cam. I want it to be like the horror and the suspense of Blair Witch. And he was like, no, I don't like it. But then eventually he told me he's never actually seen Blair Witch. Yeah, so he had no idea what I was talking about.
I had no idea what she was talking about.
So.
And like the majority of the time that we're shooting, we're trying to avoid any sort of shaking camera at all. So I was like, no shaky cam. He's like, it's not about the shaky cam. It's like this psychological thriller where this relationship deteriorates. So that's why, we all the nice stuff that we said at the start is true.
Yeah, totally.
But
that stuff is true. The fighting was a lie.
But it was set up to the eventual like bickering and fallout for it to like start off with this like happy, cheerful.
Yeah, like it setting up to be the eroding of the relationship.
Yeah.
Okay, but you're running out of time. So I don't know what you talked about while I got better glasses.
I was just what did I talk? I was talking about Flowerface's some of his lines originally, like how he's going to say that he's a widow.
I think the moral of the story is that we're very excited about the video. It was really fun to make, and it was a lot of work. And if you like, we feel impressed with ourselves to having been able to make that type of video.
Yeah, because
it's not. We're not filmmakers.
It took like all of the different skill sets that we've developed doing YouTube and making videos. It took them all like a whole level ahead, right? And we had to think about all that stuff ahead of time, because when you're shooting something like that, you have to think of it before you go to edit it, because you have to actually shoot it. It's not just like you're shooting stuff as it goes.
Yeah, normally we just shoot stuff and then we make it look good afterwards in editing.
Yeah, things happen and they're entertaining. No, don't play there.
And then we had like finite nighttime hours for filming.
Yeah.
So it had to get filmed over a few days. Oh, what do the kids think? So as we were editing it, the kids were like, Leo was like, I think I'm gonna have nightmares tonight. And Sam kept being like, is this real? Is this real? And they're both pretty freaked out. So we're a little bit nervous.
They haven't seen it yet, really.
Yeah, we were nervous about, because so many people say that that their little kids watch with them. So we were a little bit nervous about, you know, if other 5-year-olds, you know,
Yeah.
because it's like creepy enough.
It's different because they only see like individual scenes and stuff like that. So like when we're editing on our computer, but to have like a full on going into that, you know, scary part with the scary noises, you know, have a kid watching that just isn't.
Oh, is the 2 grands real?
No.
Yeah, we've had lots of people be like, "Oh, congrats, best market ever." The joke on that was that we brought down $1,000, but Flowerface is so good at sales that he sold 2,000. Right? Because like you can't sell what you don't have to sell.
Yeah.
But it might have been a little subtle, but yeah, no. And also, I was like, I keep waiting for someone to be like, Halloween market? What do you mean? Because we filmed at our last market. Oh, thanks so much, Kathy.
And if anybody asked us about it, we were going to say, oh, that's Canadian Halloween. It's earlier than American Halloween.
Yeah. Yeah, so we still have one last market, which is the Halloween market. That is our last market of the year. But yeah.
And we have another market harvest video that is from the week before that, because we were getting caught up on videos, but then we were like, we need to give this
everything.
Yeah, we need to give this Halloween video some time to, you know, linger in the Halloween time frame. So we're like, we have to focus all of our efforts on making this video in time to get it out before Halloween. So we got a video that's all filmed that is really good.
Yeah. So we have lots of good stuff coming.
Yeah.
Okay, this is your cut off. You get one last thing, but it has to be like 15 seconds.
I don't really have anything else.
Okay. So the moral of the story is, if you haven't watched it yet, you should definitely go watch our Halloween special.
Yeah, and share it on your Facebook and all that stuff, because it's not going to get any push out on YouTube because, you know, we did PG-13.
Yeah, we did all this stuff on YouTube that'll make it so YouTube's like, ooh, maybe we don't want to encourage the normal viewers to watch it.
Yeah.
But we hope that you guys at least enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know.
And everybody who has seen it is like, oh my god, that's hilarious. Because I think it's probably our funniest video ever. I think it's safe to say that.
I don't know, funniest?
There's a lot of good
funny
ones.
It's our scariest.
It's our scariest video. It's our best video.
It's definitely our best video.
It's definitely our best video in both of our opinions.
Okay.
Sam?
Yeah, I don't know. I agree. I think the Productorium was our funniest. Okay,
that was our funniest moment. But
I guess overall, I don't know. They're all funny. They're all great.
Yeah, Crazy Ian. Hopefully he'll be back someday.
I'm sure
I don't know if Flowerface will ever be back.
No, Flowerface will never.
That's kind of like a hard one to fit back in.
Other than Flowerface is what my son does when he poses with flowers. He puts bouquets like in front of his face, and but he does it like Florette style. He like holds them out like in front of his face, and then he calls that Flowerface.
Yeah. People are saying that I was creepy, but it was actually Serena's direction that my performance was, because I'm not really that great of an actor. I'm just naturally funny. So
I had a vision. So I'm glad that it turned out.
Yeah, I'm charismatic on camera, but you had to be like, don't be charismatic.
He kept wanting to make jokes, and I'm like, every time you make a joke, you wreck it. And he's like, no, but I should say something. And I'm like, yeah, you're telling me you want to make a joke. That'll wreck it. Which I thought is funny because that's what we made the fight about. That you wanted to make all these jokes. Yeah. Okay. I saw we're gonna get into this because it's already later than I said we'd give for talking about it. But I saw someone asking about merch because today, because I love this sweater, I'm wearing the Ian Team Flowers merch, and but all the merch it should be there. I know sometimes in the live videos the merch shelf isn't underneath the videos. But the link at least it should be there. It's like a spring. You can't eat the grass. Oh, thank you, Kelly. And so we have a new merch that we're going to. I have to get it set up. So my goal is to get it in there for beginning of November because it's going to be our Christmas release.
Yeah, you have the picture already.
Yeah, I have the art. I just need to get it set up. And then I wanted to get it set up so that it's there because it has to get shipped, right? So I want to have it there in November. So if anyone wants to be buying Can't Eat Grass merch for Christmas, the new merch is available as Christmas presents.
Yeah. Somebody,
because that's what Ian and I will be buying each other, new merch for Christmas.
Somebody asked if it's the real history of our farm, and it is not. No. It's 100% written up, and
we almost everything is a lie in that video. We also were like, we have the oldest house in Western Canada. And that was a lie. Ian's like, you can't say it's 120 years old because we're saying the party is for Confederation. And I was like, everyone's American. They're not even going to know what Confederation means. So
yeah, because that's like our Canada speak for when Canada became a country.
Yeah. Confederation.
But nobody commented on the Queen talking about Canada being filled with a bunch of riffraff castaways. And I love that joke. I thought that was hilarious.
Okay, but you're doing it. We got to get into this because I have a lot that I want to talk about for this, and these videos can't be like super long because I can't go super long. But go feed the kids, or do you want to stay for this?
No, I'll go.
You can come back, but Ian, this is like Ian's chance to not listen to me talk obsessively. Okay, sorry guys, I'm gonna change the camera a little bit. There. Okay, I had it different for the two of us. Okay, so what I am talking about today in this live video, which is what I was supposed to talk about last week in the live video, and I didn't do it, but we're gonna do it today, is all of the perennials that I'm excited to hopefully get coming for my garden for next spring. And what I have here in my hands is the place that we buy all of our bulk actual plant stuff from, right? So we buy seeds, but we also buy like tulip bulbs and like the dahlia tubers, and we bought like a bunch of perennial plugs that we planted last year. And so they all came from Van Noort, who sells small scale wholesale. So you don't have to be like massive to buy from them, but they're only Canadian. So I know that isn't super helpful for a lot of people, but it's helpful for me. And they send me these beautiful full color catalogs. They know what they're doing. They're like, oh yeah, we'll sucker them in. So I have too much fun flipping through these when they show up, and then I buy too much. So they're very smart. That's the reason why companies make these beautiful catalogs, because they know that they're gonna sucker us all into it. Okay, but so before I get into this, so last week at the end of the video where I didn't talk about this, but I said I was gonna talk about this, I talked about dahlias. I talked about the fact that we are not really gonna be doing dahlias next year, so we're not going to be doing this big dahlia order. So I'm just going to sum that up briefly. So we tried growing, so we love the dinner plates, but the dinner plates didn't work super well for our farmers market bouquets, so we ditched them. This last year, in 2020, we grew dinner plates. I decided they were a pain in the butt. 2021, we grew ball and decorative style dahlias. And then I decided that I just don't water enough. Sorry, I'm distracted. Yeah, so Van Noort, only Canadian. There's lots of places like Van Noort. Someone's asking if you ask an order. There's lots of places like Van Noort that service the American, and they usually have like Dutch names because it's all basically coming from Holland. But I can't use them because I'm in Canada. So this is the Canadian one that I use. Yeah, so then I did these ball and decorative dahlias, and I decided they just didn't do super good, so I wasn't gonna do them again. There was only one that I was really happy with, Sylvia. I love the color. It had really good production and had really good stem length on it. I was like, okay, this I would grow again, but then, because I actually am ordering this stuff super late. And that's why I'm saying the stuff that I want, because I put in an order, but I haven't gotten confirmation back from Van Noort. And the order's so late that there's a good chance that there was already stuff sold out, and there's a good chance that out of the stuff that I even put in for, they might not have. because I missed the time. I was slacking off, and so I didn't get everything ordered. But yeah, so I was gonna buy Sylvia. It was sold out already. So we bought a couple things, and I'm sure like in the spring we'll probably pick up some dahlias at like hardware stores, or like at our local nurseries. But we are not growing the dinner plate dahlias to sell. So we didn't buy like, last year I think we bought 20 packs. No, I ordered 20 packs, but I think I only got 15. So, I had like 300, 400. Yeah, maybe I did. Maybe I had 400 dahlias altogether. And then about 100 of them I kept. But yeah, so we sold a lot. We sold a lot of dahlias, and we're not going to be doing that because we're not going to be doing any sort of seedling sale. So yeah, first thing. Oh, thanks so much, KJ. I love mic drop. No more dahlias. Mic drop. Yeah. Okay. So that's the first thing. The next thing that is in this catalog, but I don't really have any exciting pictures to show you because a ton of it was sold out. Is that we're going hard on lilies. This is perennials that we're going hard on. So this last year, I had a bunch of lilies and they grew really, really badly. I was very unhappy with the lilies because I put them in the ground way too late and they just didn't do well. They are still in the ground, so hopefully they'll do something next year. A lot of them they did the same thing that the tulips did. So I don't know if I didn't water them or I don't know what happened to them, but they only were about this tall when they flowered. So they never got cut down. So there's a good chance that the bulb, oh yes, someone's asking about the Stinky Lilies, and I'll talk about that. Yeah, so there's a good chance that the bulb will still overwinter, and I should be able to have those lilies for picking again next year. But I ran out of space for all my lilies. I had about 100 lilies left over. Sorry, I see Kelly. I don't know that we've updated the Amazon wish list. But whatever's on there should still be relevant. I basically loaded it with garden gloves and garden shears because that's all I want and need. And then we tried to put some stuff in there just to give people ideas of things that you need. Sorry, distracted. Okay, so we had 100 lilies left over, and we didn't have any space in the garden for them. The dish towels. So sometimes stuff is in the wish list that is stuff that we're oh, we should buy that. We just are on Amazon and we forget. We forget that we share the wish list. Sorry, I'm very distracted today. Okay. 100 lilies left over, didn't have space, so I ended up putting them into crates. The way that a lot of professional growers grow lilies is they grow them in a bulb crate. So a bulb crate is a big plastic crate, and they put a piece of newspaper down and they fill it up with dirt, and the lilies are in there. They're about that deep. And then they put them into their heated greenhouse. Once they bloom, they pull them out. And so it's a good way to be able to grow them in the heated greenhouse. And then what you can actually do with lilies, because how is there lilies always from a florist? How can you always get lilies from a florist? How can you go to Costco right now and have there be a display of lilies that you can buy as a cut flower? And the reason is that you store the lilies in a fridge, and then you pull them out and you put them in these crates, and then you put them into the heat and you grow them it's fairly fast, 2 months, and they flower, and then you got a flower on it, right? So most of the lilies that you're seeing being sold by florists are grown in greenhouses, and they're grown in this crate technique. So for me, I don't have a heated greenhouse, so I'm not going to get lilies in the winter. It's not going to be a trick for me to be a florist and have year-round lilies, but I can order in all these lilies, and then every week or 2 weeks, I can load up a crate of lilies into my greenhouse, and then they will, they'll bloom staggered. right? So rather than planting 500 lilies, they all bloom in the same 2 weeks. And I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to sell all these lilies? I can plant 50 lilies for 10 weeks, and I can have 10 weeks of lily blooms, which is, it's a lot easier to sell 50 in a week than to sell the 250 that bloom if you just plant them like they're in the garden. If you're a home gardener, not so much of an issue, right? Because lilies are amazing because they flower and they last super long and they look beautiful in the garden, and then they die back and, like a bulb, right? You treat them differently. But so this, I was really happy with the couple that I had done in the crate into my greenhouse just because I had a spot. I think I actually just plunked them down. I was like, whatever, these seedlings, I don't care. Let's put these lilies in here. They did really good. So my plan is for next year, that is how I'm going to do the lilies. And so because of that, my plan was I was going to order lots. I was going to order like 1,000 lily bulbs. But the lilies were really sold out. Someone was asking about scent, right? Because Ian, I bought 200 like Oriental lilies. Here, this I can get a picture for. So a couple of years ago, I bought 200 Oriental lilies. I bought Casablanca and Stargazer. I'm just trying to find the picture of it. And they're like the classics. Okay, here we go. So let's see. Put this in front of my face. So here's Casablanca, and I think this is Stargazer. Just super classic Oriental lilies, and they're like super tall. Maybe not that. That I'm on my couch, right? So they're like as tall as my couch. But very, very strong fragrance. And when I had 200 of them planted and all blooming at the exact same time, because the issue is how do you deal with 200 blooming? Like I had more than I could ever sell. Ian wanted to murder me because our entire farm smelled like overpoweringly lilies. You walked out of the house and it was like, oh, like hitting like a wall of scent. You couldn't go anywhere on the farm for a month without it smelling like lily flowers. And Ian was like, never again. You can never buy these stinky lilies, because Ian really doesn't like scent. So I was like, okay, I love you more than I love lilies, so that's fine. So no more stinky lilies. And then for the next year, which is all the lilies that I had planted like this year so in 2020, I planted the stinky lilies, Oriental lilies. 2021, I found out you can get Asiatic lilies. So here's a little clump up here. These are all, and the colors are really not doing justice with this bad light that I have in here. Here's another one. These are LA Hybrid Lilies. And so they're a cross between Longiflorum and Asiatic. Right? And so like all the colors. And because what we do is the farmer's market, the colorful lilies is what I want more than like the Oriental, like really classic, like white and pink. That's a beautiful look, but it's not a flashy look. And anything flashy is what does better. So these Oriental ones are a lot more flashy. And the price is actually a lot lower on them because they're smaller, they're more simple. So they're easier for me to work with, and they're more inexpensive than the Oriental lilies, and then they're not stinky, right? Because the stinky ones, I know that there's other customers like Ian, right? And they don't want those strongly scented flowers. So that's the ones that we prefer to grow. And so I went to order, I was like, I'm gonna order 1,000. They have like 10 different varieties that I liked. I'm gonna order 100 of each variety, but like every single one was sold out. I think they only had like a pink and white one left, and so I ordered like 200 of that, and then they had like a mix pack, so I ordered some of that. But the fact that it's already sold out means that because there was like lots of issues, because most of the stuff is coming from Holland, and Holland had flooding. This in 2021, Holland experienced a bunch of flooding, which affected all the plant stock. So there's been shortages for tulips. So if you guys have been looking to buy tulips, there might not be as many tulips as there normally is. And then it makes sense that the flooding would also be affecting, like the dahlias, because those tubers could just like rot in the flooding, could be affecting all the lilies. There's probably a lot of stuff that has been affected for the worldwide seed crop supply type thing. So yeah, there's stuff's going to be more limited for the flower type stuff for going into 2022. So I'll happily take whatever I can get, and then don't tell Ian, but I also put in an order for a couple more of the Oriental ones that I'm gonna do in the crate style, just because the Asiatics were pretty sold out, and I'm not gonna learn how to crate grow lilies well until I practice crate growing lilies. So, even if this next year isn't going to be like, oh, I did so good, we had like sold 1 million lilies, I do want enough that I can try to get some experience with these staggered bloom crate grown style. So I had to order something. So fingers crossed, I get lilies. Okay, so one last thing on lilies, and then I'll get into the more like plug plant type stuff. And people ask me this all the time. And like I saw it in the comments here, people are asking about cats and lilies, right? Because the lilies are supposed to be really toxic to cats. I have never had a cat so demented that it'll like purposely go out into the garden and get into the things that are poisonous. I know that lilies are toxic to cats, but it's not like my cats are like, oh, this is poison, I'm gonna like go and eat them. I've never seen like or heard of, and who knows, maybe it's just that it doesn't happen here, and in other places everyone's cats are hanging out in the lily patch in the garden, they're dead cats all over the place. But yeah, I've never heard of someone like having a cat get poisoned in the garden. I can imagine it being more of a concern for bringing flowers into your home, and having indoor cats that just like are wanting to get into mischief and getting into what you have. I had a cat who would eat all cut flowers that I ever brought into the house. And she'd like do it and then like look at me and be like, I'm destroying your flowers. So I could see her eating lilies and poisoning herself. But yeah, so I'm in no way worried that we're creating like a cat graveyard by planting lilies outside. But yeah, if you have cats inside, you might want to be careful cutting the lilies and bringing them inside.
I would tell people when I'd sell the lily bouquets, I'd ask them if they had cats. But I ask most people in life if they have cats.
Yeah, I mean that's
like an introductory question, right? Like, hey, how's it going? Do you have cats?
It's not like everything we sell in the bouquets is edible, right? Like they're cut flowers, right? They're cut flowers.
It's just that
they're not a salad, right? So I don't feel
they have the poison, like their pollen, right? So they can get on them, and then they can lick them. Yeah. That's the difference why people are concerned.
I get it, but I'm like, I don't feel like it's my job to tell someone to eat something that's not edible.
Don't eat something.
Yeah, like I don't have to like sell everyone flowers and be like, just so you know, don't eat this, right?
Yeah.
Like if someone was like, hey, can I eat these flowers in your bouquet? I'd be like, well, sure, you can eat this. Don't eat this, but can I recommend my salad? Because it's going to be a lot tastier than this $20 bouquet. It's and I get people talk about it all the time. I personally don't feel like it's my job to let pet owners know things that like they're bringing into their house. Like if someone was like, is this toxic to my cat? I'd be like, yes, I'm not gonna lie, but I don't think I need to like give a disclaimer.
I do.
And that's fine, right? But I'm not gonna be like, before you buy this, it's like we have larkspur, it's poisonous, right? I'm not gonna be like, do you have small children in your home? Oh, then don't buy this because larkspur is poisonous. That's what it's kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of feel like that as for me as a pet owner, right? Like it's my job as like a cat owner to not be bringing poison to cats into my house. It's like it's not like someone else's fault.
Yeah. People asking about peonies. We are eventually going to load up on tons of peonies, but this year we're still only buying a few.
And by tons, not actually, because originally we talked about being a peony farm by 10,000.
Yeah.
And that would be like
just peonies.
That would be almost a ton of peonies, right?
Yeah.
Because isn't a ton 20,000 pounds? I can imagine like a nice tuber weighing 2 pounds.
We were thinking about just getting so many peonies that we'd rent a like a refrigerated trailer and ship them all out kind of in a couple different
2,000 pounds. That's what a ton is?
There's different definitions of a ton.
No, that might be right.
Because there's metric tons. Yeah, that's a
it's not
imperial
20,000.
ton.
It's not 20,000. It's 2,000.
No, it's not 20,000.
Okay, then 10,000 peonies would for sure be a ton of peonies. Right?
Like peony flowers?
Like peony tubers. Like a big tuber would like weigh like a fifth of a pound, right? Like 5 tubers would be a pound, and if you bought 10,000 of them,
yeah,
that'd be 2,000 pounds. So it'd be a literal ton of peonies.
I suppose your math checks out.
But I get it. Not everyone is into buying literal tons as I am.
Oh, somebody's asking about the new news, and yes, there is new news.
Is this gonna be you being
no,
like?
Because I downloaded the farm stand art.
Oh, okay. Ian got the picture. Okay.
So there's one with a background and one that's just
show it.
Well, I'm building up the suspense.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Because there's one that just has a white background, and there's one that has an orange background, but they're the same picture, they're the same image. It's just that the artist put the background on the one.
Okay, but you need to say what it is. What Ian's doing is he's going back to us saying that we're gonna. Okay, we have to get our faces out of here. This is the art for the new merch that we are planning on putting out for the beginning of November to be our Christmas release, our Christmas merch release. I'm just excited because I've never been so on the ball for something in my life.
We're on the ball.
As to actually get merch released in time for Christmas shipping.
We released the art in time, and we got our Halloween video.
Oh, but you know what we didn't do, which we talked about 2 weeks ago? We need to let people vote if they want to say, like, support local, or, like, support your local farmers market, or something on it. But thank you. Does everyone want to see the merch picture again? Okay.
We gotta get our faces up.
We're really happy with it. So it's our farm stand done by like an artist. And I think it turned out really good. I'm really happy. I mean, I'm the one who picked the artist and
you commissioned it.
I commissioned the work. So if I wasn't happy, then I'd have no one to blame but myself. Okay, so I was telling everyone about lilies. About the lilies that we bought.
You can't just fill the property with lilies.
Well, you missed all the news that I'm going to be crate growing.
Well, I knew that already. Because those were the ones that did the best.
So I'm not going to be filling the property. I'm going to be filling the walk-in cooler with lilies.
It is a pretty cool way to grow them.
Yeah, it worked. Like, it was shocking how well it worked out.
Our farm stand has been doing so good. Really excited about it next year. It's been selling. Even now, we're still selling, $60 a day or something like that without flowers. $50 a day. $40 a day. We're selling stuff.
We're selling a little bit. We sold a lot today because I'm selling off my extra seed garlic.
Yeah. But if we have stuff, people will be pulling over to buy it. Like when we had flowers in there.
Oh yeah, we were selling a lot of money when we had flowers. It's the lack of flowers that is causing us to suffer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But
next year, there will be no lack of flowers.
Yes. Infinite flowers with all the stuff that I'm wearing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I said in the description, which I don't know if anyone actually reads descriptions, but I said that we were going to have infinite yarrow. So last year we ordered, here, I got props. Move your head, Ian. Okay, so last year we ordered this. This is like the yellow. Let's see, what is this? Moonshine, and then the red one, which is paprika, and then the orange one, which is terracotta. So we got a 25 pack of all of those colors, and I loved them. They were so good. And the yellow is so good. I can't remember. Did I put more yellow in? Maybe I did put more yellow in. I think
you did.
I have a pack of seed for the yellow too, so
Yeah.
I can grow more of the yellow. We decided the paprika was a little bit. It's still good. I'm still glad to have it, but it wasn't quite as long as I wanted. It just wasn't as tall as the yellow and the terracotta. But the terracotta was the money. Yeah, it was like tall and big flower heads, and the color. Even though it was an orange, it was true that it was a terracotta. It blended really nicely with pinks, as well as blending really nicely with like brights. So it was super versatile. I was like, I want an infinite amount of this, so I bought a lot more of that.
Somebody's confused about the peonies. We're buying.
We didn't buy any peonies.
No, we didn't we get 15 or 20 or something?
Yeah, I bought. Ian was bothering me. So you're supposed to buy peonies and plant them now, right? This stuff that I'm ordering, it's all coming in spring 2022. So spring isn't actually the best time to be planting peonies. Ideally, you order them in spring to plant them for fall. And we still haven't prepped the ground. The plan was we were going to prep a spot for peonies this year and put some in this fall, and we didn't do that. So I told Ian, until he preps me a spot, no peonies.
But us not ordering peonies still means we ordered like 15 or 20 peonies?
I don't know, can't remember. I ordered the smallest amount that would make it so I could still tell you I ordered peonies.
Yeah. But we're talking about ordering like
100. Not a literal ton. That's what I was saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a literal ton is a lot. We'll order a literal ton or 2 of compost.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah. But a literal ton, there's not very many things we get a literal ton of here on the farm. We're a very small farm. I feel like we grow a literal ton of carrots, though. 2,000 pounds of carrots? You know? Because that's like, if we had 8 beds, like 250 pounds per bed?
Yeah.
No, I don't think we grow that much.
I'd be surprised.
Okay. Back into...
What prevented us from being a peony farm?
Oh, so I have a very good reason.
Because we're a content farm instead.
No! Yeah. The reason why we didn't do peonies, because I love talking about this, because my thing is there's no wrong way to farm. There's only like what kind of farm you want to do. And I think the peony farm was like a well thought out farm, because we would have been able to fit 10,000 peonies onto the farm. And if you assume that every peony bush can produce 10 blooms once they're established by year 5, right? Because the goal is always to make money by year 5.
Yeah.
That would give us 100,000 peonies. And if we sold them wholesale, it's safe to assume we could probably get $1 a peony. So we would have the gross sales of $100,000. And then the biggest expense would be the shipping of the fresh peonies down to the flower market in Vancouver. So it all seemed like a pretty reasonable thing.
Yeah, and it would be like a compact workload.
Yeah, there'd be maintenance, but there'd only be harvest season when we would need labor.
There'd be no farmers markets.
Yeah, no farmers markets, no like retail sales. It would just be doing this one thing. But the reason why we didn't do it is after I was like, oh, this is a great idea. I was like, but if we were monocropping, we would have to be using like sprays, like for doing on the scale that we are for that type of monocropping, with peonies having fungal issues, we wouldn't be able to do it without having to do regular, applications of like antifungal sprays. And that's not how we want to grow.
Yep.
So I was like, well, never mind. New plan.
Yeah.
Which I would argue the new plan was a worse plan.
Oh yeah.
The peony farm was like a good business model.
The peony
what we're
farm,
doing now, not a great
the
business
peony
model.
farm was a better money making thing, but it wouldn't have had the upside of the YouTube, which also takes a lot of time and doesn't make a lot of money.
I don't know. Maybe they would have loved to see all those.
We could have made this much money with the peonies, and then the YouTube, instead makes this much, and the farm makes this much. So we're net losers, but we have fun.
Yeah. I mean, if we wanted to make money, we wouldn't have started a farm. That's the reality.
Yeah.
That's the reality of the situation. If we wanted to make smart financial decisions,
I would just be going away to work.
And we would have never moved here. Moving here was the worst financial decision we've ever made. And then after that, having children. Second worst financial decision ever made. Okay, let's see. Where are we at? All I've talked about is Euro. Okay, let's flip through here. Now I can't remember what I bought. I think I maybe got, I was trying to be very restrained. Oh, I was going to buy some ladies mantle, but they didn't have it anymore. Okay, so I have all these hollyhocks, which I did buy.
Because I still have to go to the grocery store. I was thinking
you have to do that after the kids go.
Well, maybe take the kids right now.
Oh, yeah, sure. Take them with you, and Sam wants eggnog. He had a fit because the eggnog went bad.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's there. But
well, I think this is me checking out everybody. Bye. Although the grocery store is only a couple minutes away. I might be back in.
It'll probably be back.
You guys can see how long it takes us to do our chores, but I gotta go to the grocery store.
Okay.
So I can make kids' lunches tomorrow for school.
I know. What are you buying? Oh, bread. We're out of bread. Okay, I should have looked at this a bit more before I did it, because apparently all the things that I ordered, I swear I bought a million things. I bought more Baptisia. Okay, so this is it here. So I bought more of the Baptisia because I bought a thing of Baptisia last year. Yeah, if Sunflower Steve is here. Oh, you are. Thank you so much for the Baptisia, the yellow Baptisia that you sent me. Before Sunflower Steve sent me seeds, I told him I would most likely kill them all. I'm like, don't send it if they're precious, because I'm a major plant murderer. But I managed to keep a handful of my yellow Baptisias alive, but I killed almost all of my blue Baptisias that I bought. So the reason why I want it isn't so much for the flower. I want it, people love the foliage earlier in the spring, right? And so I got to see what the foliage, I don't know, it's a hard word to get out. I wanted to see what it looked like, and I spotted it around town, and it's really nice. So the flowers are beautiful. You can use the flowers as a filler, but you can also just use the greenery on it, which makes it a really versatile cut flower shrub. But I don't know. I think it was rust or something that got into all my blue Baptisia. Some sort of disease got in there, killed all the plants. They're very hardy once you get them established, but I'm pretty sure I killed them. So I ordered some more, and I'm gonna plant them in a different part of the farm. And then hopefully, someone's saying that the seed pods, so that's another thing. So people use it early in the spring for just the greenery. In the summer, they use it for the flowers, and then into the later summer, it has seed pods that the flowers set, that makes a good filler too. So it's super, super versatile. So I got more of that in hopes that I can figure out how to not kill it, because it's going to need a few years. It's probably going to need 3 years before I can be doing any sort of cutting on it. So now's the time. Look at all that. See, now I'm just shopping. Look at this entire page of Campanula. Isn't that beautiful? I love it. But I didn't buy any of that. I don't need that. Oh, look at this, guys. All these cannas. I was tempted to buy Canna Lilies because I had so much fun. We bought a yellow and a red Canna Lily in 2021. And then a bunch of them didn't sell, so I planted them in the garden. And I loved having them. I loved having them as like a garden flower. They're so cool with the foliage and everything. But I'm going to do my best to dig them up because I think I have like 20. I have 20 around. And so in theory, the tubers should have spread that I can at least have like 40 next year. And that's a lot considering it's not a cut flower, considering it's just decorative. Oh, now I'm like, oh, look at all these other things I should have bought. There's a bunch of stuff in this catalog that they didn't have. So I can't remember if I bought it, but I was very tempted to buy some Crosmosia. I love this. Steve, don't send me the blue stuff. I'm so bad. But I think I bought 50. I bought 50 plugs, so I'm sure that's enough. Yeah, so Crosmosia, I can't remember if I bought more of it or not, but I love it. It should survive. It should survive in my zone, right? Like it's saying here, like that Lucifer, which is like the one that I like, is good into hardy to zone 5. It should, yeah, and the seed pods. Someone's saying the seed pods. The flowers are cool. I've used it as a cut flower for the flowers, but I love it as like the seed pods. It's like this cool thing. But yeah, but I've tried it a few times and like I've planted a patch and then it doesn't survive the winter. And someone actually sent me a box. They like one of the viewers. They divided them out of their garden. They like mailed me this case of them, and I was so stoked. I was like, yay, like more, because all of mine died. And I planted them, and they didn't survive the winter either. So the Glads are the same thing. Glads just don't survive here. And I wonder if has more to do with our cold winter, or not the cold of our winter, right? Because these plants are all cold hardy, but I wonder if it's how dry our winter is. Because even though, so we're like an American Zone 5, USDA Zone 5, we actually have a lot of stuff that can't survive USDA Zone 5 because our weather's so weird here in the winter. We quite often get like a warm spell in January that melts any sort of snow that we have. We don't have a lot of snow here. And then instantly following all the snow melting, we get down to like -25 for a week. So in other places, -25 isn't so dangerous when you have snow on the ground, because it's going to really insulate how deep into the ground the soil will freeze. But here, there's never snow when we get that really, really cold weather. So when we freeze our coldest that we freeze, I think we potentially freeze deeper than other places for our zone. So Glads, like, and at our older place, we had some spots that were like super warm. We had spots where like stuff like could survive really good. And I planted Glads in those spots knowing it was like a warm patch, and I could never get them. Like occasionally I'd have like the grassy like babies growing up, but I could never get a second year of blooms on it. So this year my Glads, yeah, I'm like, did I even tell you guys I'm talking about Glads right now? Oh, sorry. Sorry. Yeah, so I had Glads this year, and I dug them up. We pulled them out of the ground, and I have them in a case, so I'm going to try to overwinter them, but I suck at overwintering things. Because it's so dry here in the winters that quite often things just dry out. Like the dahlias, like I suck at overwintering dahlias. They just turn into like little crispy dried out things. So I'm going to give it a try for the Glads, because I have these expensive fancy Glads. So if I can get like cut off them again for years after, then I think it would be worth it for these specific Glads. But Glads in general, they don't sell well. No one in our area likes Glads as cut flowers. They're kind of like, they're one of those like, you buy them at the grocery store for like next to nothing. And for the labor of the Glads, they are not a high enough value cut for me to justify the labor of digging glads and replanting them every year. They're too much labor for how much value they bring, right? Because that's what I'm always doing in my head. I'm like, how hard is this to grow, right? Because how many labor hours do I have to put in to grow this thing versus how well it sells? Basically, like the top, this is like, I'm getting off topic, but I'm going to say this quickly because I think this is like one of the most important things to understand, like what I'm doing when I'm buying stuff. Because I don't care what something looks like, right? Like I'm not a flower snob at all. My favorite color is green. My favorite flowers are like hostas, not the flower, just like leaves. Like if I was to have like a decorative garden, it would be like all foliage with like white flowers. Like what I like in gardens is totally different from what I grow. What I care about is like what sells well, what is going to grow with like low labor hours, right? So I always complain. I'm like, oh, bachelor buttons are the worst. And the reason why bachelor buttons are the worst is even though they're like weeds, they're super easy to grow, they're so difficult to harvest, right? And because they're difficult to harvest, they're then difficult to like work with in the post-harvest, which would be fine if they also sold for like a high value of money. But people see a bachelor button and it's like, oh, how much money would you pay for a single bachelor button? And they're like, oh, a penny, like $0. And then, but it's like, oh, but I put in as much work to get a single bachelor button as I did to get a zinnia, which people will pay actual money for. Basically the goal is to find things that are sunflowers in like the cut flower world. Sunflowers are incredible because you like put a seed in the ground, you like ignore it, this big huge flower grows, right? And it's like this big flower, and you can sell it for a lot of money and like sell like crazy. Everyone wants to buy 1 million sunflowers. You can like never grow too many sunflowers. And the labor of it like the labor's so low, right? So it's like the top of the list is like sunflowers. It's like, oh, it's easy to grow, it's low labor, it sells for a lot of money, and you can sell lots of it, right? Like that's like, oh, the best, right? And then everything else is like a little bit less good. The zinnias, I'm obsessed with the zinnias. Super easy to grow, super easy to sell. Can't sell for sunflower prices, but still can sell for like a decent price. They're not as easy to harvest as the sunflowers. But they also, you don't have to replant them, right? You can get the 6, like multiple picks off of them, so the zinnias are still up there, right? And then down on the bottom, I say down on the bottom as bachelor buttons, but the reality is if I'm still growing bachelor buttons, they're not on the bottom. On the bottom is all the things that make 0 sense to grow because you can't sell it for any money. It's super hard work, all this stuff, right? So glads specifically, that's my rant to make sense about what I feel about glads. In my specific market, glads sell really poorly. And I know for other people in their specific market, zinnias sell really poorly. Here, I can sell zinnias like crazy, and people are like, I've never seen this flower before. What is this flower? People think it's like super classy, it's super fancy. Whereas other people, it's considered like a garbagey garden plant, but no one grows them here in gardens. Whereas glads, people just, they have those more negative connotations that like other areas have about zinnias towards glads, right? So because they're a lot of work, I don't want to give them much effort. But I have a case of them now. I'm hoping I don't kill them. And I don't know. I guess so I'm doing these like crate lilies. You can also do like crate glads. And it would maybe make sense for me to do the crate glads if the scale of what we are selling here on the farm is high enough that I could buy in, like 5,000 glads, and then I would be buying in like very inexpensive glad bulbs. So if I could do something like that, because I could then sell it, then the math changes, right? But it's all math, is like when it comes to what I grow. So it makes it very unromantic to talk about stuff. And I know, here's the page that I'm flipping past. It makes people really sad to hear me talk about dahlias, because they are something that's so easy to be passionate about. And we, Ian and I here, on the farm, we love dahlias, right? And I see other people's dahlias and I'm like, they're so beautiful. I drive around town, I see them in everyone's gardens and I'm like, oh, they're so beautiful. I'll always, I think it's worth the money to spend $30 buying tubers at the hardware store in the spring and have a few dahlias on the farm, because they're so beautiful. They're so fun to have. They just don't make sense for me to grow on the farm. And I feel like one of the biggest skill sets and advantages that I bring to the flower farming is the fact that I'm not a flower lover. The fact that I'm not team flowers like Ian, the fact that I'm team veggies, means that it's easy for me to make these unemotional decisions about what gets grown in the flower farm, right? Because I'm never like, oh, but I have to grow dahlias because I'm in love with dahlias. I can be like, nope, they don't make sense. They're getting cut. Whereas some of those decisions when it comes to veggies are a lot harder for me to make, like tomatoes, where I'm like, oh, but I have to grow 1 million tomatoes, even though they make me no money. And they're basically like dahlias and they should be cut. Okay, so there's a whole page. Okay, here we go. Now we're getting into stuff. Okay, so we are getting, cover my face so this focuses, we are getting a bunch of bleeding heart. Let's see. What am I? Okay, here. It won't focus if my face is there. Okay, so we're getting just the super classic bleeding heart, and then we're also getting some of the white bleeding heart. And the reason why I ordered some of that, I think I ordered 50 of the classic and then 25 of the white. And the bleeding heart we need because it blooms at a time of the year when we don't have anything else. The bleeding heart actually blooms in conjunction with tulips here on our farm. I actually had bleeding heart for Mother's Day. And Mother's Day is really tricky for me because a lot of the tulips are finished for Mother's Day. But then my other perennials and all of my annuals, they're not blooming by Mother's Day. But it's one of, if I could figure out flowers here on the farm, that would be, if I could have a variety of stuff for Mother's Day, I could do really, really well. Mother's Day would probably end up being like one of our best sales days of the year. This last Mother's Day, I did an experiment with flower CSA, and we sold some of the flower CSAs for Mother's Day. As like a present. So, that's always a good option. But yeah, figuring out those things at that in-between time, and that's where these like perennial experiments come. I have this like lull, and having peonies is going to help, right? Because the peonies, it's kind of like the bulbs, and then the peonies, and then the ranunculus, kind of timing wise. But yeah, someone's asking if bleeding hearts do well in full sun. In my experience, for our sun, at least, no. My bleeding hearts here tend to they're not even around in the summer. They just die. They come out and bloom, and then they just disappear. They're like, oh, it's too hot. They just shrivel up and disappear. So I am gonna have to try to figure out. A spot for them. But they do, as long as they get some growth into them, they don't completely disappear on me. So, I could baby them for a little bit without having to baby them all year round. Yeah, so let's see. Okay, there's a whole bunch of Echinacea, and this page is like torture because look at these incredible Echinacea colors. Yeah, so I don't have any Echinacea, and I can't grow Echinacea because Echinacea plants are super expensive, other than the standard one. But I mean, I don't want the standard one. I want these fancy ones. Look at these colors. These are like so cool. But Echinacea is super susceptible to asters, yellow disease, and like my entire farm is infected with it because we have a plague of grasshoppers every year, and there must be something that's like a carrier for it in the surrounding area. So I can't invest into Echinacea until I can get the grasshoppers kind of figured out. Because basically, like after a year of growing it, like by the second year, almost every single plant would be destroyed with the Astor's yellow disease. So it's really not worth me spending the money. Okay, we bought a bunch of this, let's see, Echinops. I bought a 25 pack of it, and I was like, I need an infinite amount of this. And we also ordered, I don't know if they have a picture in here. Oh yeah, here we go. This right here. This is the sea holly. Let's see, Euringium. So I ordered a blue star sea holly, and I think I ordered like 100 of these. I need an infinite. I told Ian, I was like, we could have an entire farm of sea holly, and we still would not have enough sea holly. I see someone asking, and I know we're like an hour into the video. This is the Van Noort Perennials like spring order catalog is what I'm flipping through, and I'm talking about what I'm getting, but they're Canadian only, so and wholesale only. Yeah, okay, so I bought a bunch of the Blue Star because I need so much of it, and I think the dried flowers are like not going anywhere. Oh yeah, so we're talking about the Echinacea. That's cool. That farm's cool. So we like got the story. So it's like, where are they selling all of those Echinacea flowers? They sell like Echinacea, like a herb Echinacea. And the reason why it always blooms and it looks so beautiful, there's an Echinacea farm like just around the corner, like really close to our house. And Ian talked to the guy at the farmer's market, and I thought this was so cool. Okay, so how they harvest the Echinacea, right? Because like herbal Echinacea, normally what you're like getting is the root, right? Like you grow the Echinacea and you sell the root. But they said that for like the Echinacea supplements, the way they get like the Echinacea, I don't know, extract or whatever it is that they sell is they get it from the seeds, right? So the Echinacea field, it blooms, it like the flowers stay out there like all year, and then in the fall they come and they harvest all the seed heads, and that's what they're harvesting for the Echinacea, and then I think there's like a rotation on the fields. Every 5 years they go and they divide the plants, and then they get the root harvest too. But yeah, it's I always think it's cool to learn how people farm all the different crops. So it's fun to learn that we learned about the Echinacea. Okay, so Euringium, the sea holly. So I bought the bigger one, the Blue Star, and I bought a ton of them because I think that dried flowers are not going anywhere, and the ultimate dried flower is this Blue Star. And so I had some this year. I bought a 25 pack, or maybe about a 50 pack. And like these first year perennials, like, they produce like 1 or 2 flower stems. Like they're just like little babies. Like they're like I probably shouldn't have even let them produce anything. I probably should have just cut all flowers off of them so they could have made stronger plants. But I could take a single Blue Star sea holly, like the bigger sea holly, put it into a bouquet, and instantly be able to sell the bouquet, right? I could, like, I always joke that I can't sell white bouquets. I could have like taken like a handful of baby's breath and like plopped like a sea holly into the middle of it and been like $20, and it would be like sold. I want the sea holly. People love it, and then it looks exactly the same dried as it does fresh, and so it's super valuable as a dried cut flower too. So like there's no there's no limit to the amount of these I need. So I'm really hoping that I can get a large amount of them. And then they also, here, I'm gonna hold this up. I don't know. So there's like a smaller ones. They have these, like, what are they called? This is saying it's Blue Hobbit. But I didn't order this. It's like Blue Glitter is like the smaller flower heads, and it's like a cluster. And then there's White Glitter. And those I'm going to get seed for it, and I'm going to grow a set of those. I'm going to grow like a patch of those myself. Because yeah, like it's super valuable, and it's like exactly my like brutalist aesthetic that I talk about all the time, where it's like, I mean, these plants are brutal. They're sharp and dangerous and evil. But yeah, so like I love them. I've loved it for years. They're like one of my favorite garden flowers forever. So I'm really excited to have a really big patch. Okay, so another weird thing that I have coming that I'm super excited about is Joe Pieweed. I don't know if this is showing up. So I'm getting like a set of, and like a really big one, the weedy one. And the Joe Pieweed I know is gonna do well here because they use it as like what I call like builder basic. Like here for in our area, for landscaping, when they do like commercial landscaping, they do the Joe Pieweed, they do Russian sage, they do the yarrows, especially the yellow yarrows, they do Echinacea, Rebecchias are like really common, and then grasses. They do and these are all things that just do really well in our hot, dry, perennials that survive our winters, but also survive our hot, dry summers really well. So I've been seeing the Joe Pieweed everywhere, and I bought some of the Russian sage. I don't know if I feel like that was like earlier, and maybe they just didn't have it in the catalog for pictures. But yeah, I'm really excited about the Joe Pieweed because I feel like it's gonna be like a midsummer. Oh, thanks so much, Black Dog. Like Ian and I were talking about like how kind you are. Like, it's just so generous. But thank you. We really appreciate it. Yeah. So okay, the Joe Pieweed I feel like has the use of the sedum, but earlier in the year. And then even though we don't do event stuff and we don't sell to florists, we might in the future. And like the Joe Pieweed is like massive. It's like as tall as me, right? So I imagine it having use like as like an installation type flower. I just, it's one of those things. It's the exact example of something that I feel you wouldn't find. You wouldn't necessarily find at a florist's, right? Like you're not gonna go into a florist shop and see a bouquet made out of Joe Pieweed. But it's gorgeous, and I think it's something that if a florist had it and like saw it and was able to like play with it, it might inspire them. It might inspire them a lot. So I'm excited to have it. But I also want they're big. So I only bought a little bit. So I'm gonna experiment with it, see how I feel about it before I put in more. But I probably would be willing to like have a good patch of it. I also wanted to limit myself. I was like, Ian, how much money can I spend on plants? And he's like, well, you can spend all the money. And I was like, well, I can't because I will. You have to like give me a limit. And he's like, I don't know, what's a reasonable limit? And I was like, $10,000. I can't spend more than $10,000. And he's like, sure, whatever. Do whatever you want. But as soon as I said it, I was like, oh no. And that feels like a ridiculously huge amount of money. But like, I ordered about $3,000 worth of perennials. And then the tulips, right? Because I'll have to buy next year's tulips. And to that, that's quite an expensive order. So there's probably like $3,000 or $4,000 worth of tulips that I'll want to buy come fall. And then I was like, oh no, that only leaves like a couple $1,000s for seeds, because I would spend like thousands of dollars on seeds. So I was like, oh, I gotta be careful not to buy too much. Oh, someone's asking about the merch. I'm wearing the Team Flowers shirt. This is Ian representing his team. This is my hoodie. I have a bunch of t-shirts of it, but weather's finally cool enough that I got to wear the my pink Team Flowers hoodie. Or, well, I guess it's Ian's, but okay. I feel like there's a bunch of stuff that I bought that isn't necessarily in here. Someone's asking about Shasta Daisies. I do have some. I bought like a double ruffled one, and I have this yellow one. That I really love. It opens yellow, and then it fades to like a white, and it lasts for like 3 months in the garden. But when it's yellow, I love it. It's this like very faint. I keep going to order the Shasta Daisies, and they keep being sold out. So I can't remember if I tried to order more and there wasn't. But yeah, so I do have a patch of the double. They are more of like an early summer. They don't have enough cool weather in our fall to have a chance to bloom again. So I only need so many of them. But yeah, there's more of them I want. It's just the ones that I want I haven't been able to get my hands on. Okay, so another thing that I bought, which Ian was like, why are you buying this? So this is Happy Days, and this is a perennial sunflower, and this is the worst picture ever. So this, in the catalog, it says it grows to 24 inches tall. This was like as tall as me. And like I was cutting off of it all summer. And this was of like first year plugs. And so it should come back next year. And I had 25 plants of it. I picked off of it like for the entire summer. If you know like the bouquets that I was making, I kept referring to the Van Gogh sunflowers bouquet, and that was like the base of my Van Gogh sunflowers bouquet. It had like Rebecchia, it had these, which were like these frilly puff balls, and then I threw in whatever like random sunflowers and whatever random other stuff I had kicking around. But basically I stopped making the Van Gogh sunflower bouquets once I stopped having the Happy Days, this perennial sunflower. I loved it. And they sold so well earlier in the year. They kind of fizzled. Like people were less excited about it by the end of the summer, but they sold really good at the beginning of the summer. So I was like, well, like I used almost every stem I had of the plant, so let's get another patch of it, just because it was so valuable. This is also like a suffering page. Hellebores are one of my favorite, but you need like shade. You need like wet, shady spots, and we have one spot that's shady. I'm not done yet. So.
But.
What?
I'm back.
Ian's back. Ian ran chores, as suspected. I took longer to talk about perennials than he took to take the children shopping for groceries.
Yeah.
That's like a compliment to how close our grocery store is, though.
I went to the far one, too.
Really? Wow. They're like equal distance.
See you.
Alright. Flipping through, they have like this is like the hosta section. Like a fifth of this catalog is hostas. Okay. Siberian irises. Didn't buy any of that. I think I maybe bought some lavender. But just a couple. Just like something to plant around. Ooh, what do you have? Treats. My child is in here with treats.
Not treats.
What is it?
A grape.
Oh, that is a treat. Let me have a bite.
What's my grape? Wait.
These are like the ultimate. Where is it? We lost it.
We lost the grape.
Like it's actually lost. I don't know where it went.
Yum yum.
Well, I'll have to look for that later.
We want.
So we don't have grapes rotting in our couch.
We have lots of things brought in there, man.
No, better not. Better not have lots of things rotting in our couch. This is like the children's playroom. Oh, here's something that I wanted to get. Okay, gooseneck loosestrife. This here. Lots of other
Cool.
flower farmers have this, and they say it's like a nasty invasive weed, and lots of places like it's not even allowed to be grown because it's such an invasive weed. And I was like, ooh, that sounds like a perfect cut flower. It sounds easy to grow. Okay. Let's see. Okay, peonies. They do have peonies, right? Because they do like retail sales for this. Like they have like packs of like roots that they send out for garden centers. And so, oh, Sam's holding up his thing. So I bought Ian a pack of Sarah Bernhardt peonies because those are a good like cut flower one, and the price is low. So if I accidentally kill them. Okay, someone's asking, are we a flower farm now? So I think where our plan is, we're going to still grow salad mix, and we're still gonna okay, that's silly. Okay, don't. Okay, you can hold it back. You can hold it back here. You can hold it back here. Okay, Sam's showing you all his poop emojis. Okay, don't do that. Okay. Okay, so are we a flower farm? The plan is. Oh, thank you so much. PH7. Thanks for sharing your journey. Loving it. Oh, thank you so much. Okay, here, no, get back, please. Are we a flower farm? The plan is we're going to do carrots and we're going to do salad mix because those will sell really well.
I'm just going to sit right
out
here
of our farm stand.
comfy seat.
So that makes sense to do, but we're not going to do the whole, like, the amount that we're currently doing. We grow the amount that we do so that we have a beautiful display of veggies down at the farmer's market. We're going to be bringing just flowers down to the farmer's market. And so the reason...
You're going to squish my grapes and my new sweater.
Okay, take these monsters and put them to bed.
Well, we just have some grapes.
Okay, so the reason why we're doing it is that the flowers are selling better than anything else. Can you, like, they're being very loud, and you came in and they instantly got louder, so.
Okay, good.
Okay, good. Remove all these people from my presence. Okay, there's no food in here, so Daddy's gonna take you to the kitchen
go
where
to the
there is
kitchen,
food.
please. Okay, you can have some grapes.
Okay, go. Okay. So we.
Here's my idea on it. Okay. We're gonna be a flower farm, but we'll probably still grow veggies, maybe more than we did this year. Just knowing us, right?
No, we're not.
That's my.
We're gonna stay focused, right? Because so the plan is, it was just.
You're on your timeline.
No, you just do your thing, okay? And when I'm done, I'll be done, okay? That's how it's working. Yeah. So we're going to be a flower farm that also has carrots and salad mix. For next year, because we are going to be narrowing in what we're doing, because we need to figure out a way to make it less work, right? So if I grow the amount of flowers, okay, and let me say, we're gonna have a personal garden. We'll still grow veggies, but we're only gonna grow them for us, right? So we'll still have tomatoes, we'll still have all this stuff. I think we'll probably have like 2,000 square feet for like our veggie garden. We're just not going to be growing for selling at the market. We're going to be growing for selling mainly the flowers. And by doing that, even though we'll grow in the same amount of space, if we're growing just the flowers, it's going to be more focused for the labor and less work, right? And then it also will allow us to get focused for like we can be super focused on like we're doing this and we're doing this well, and then we can you know, because we started out with like a million ideas and we've slowly been focusing in, but it was like we started out with this much and we like focused in this much. And it's like the focusing in, we're just growing more of everything, right? So even though we're focusing in the tiniest amount, the work is like, oh, and like we need to, you know, this is how big the screen is. If the work is bigger than the screen, then it's more work than we can do, right? So we're gonna focus in on flowers, right? To figure out, to make sure we're doing the flowers right, and then we'll add in for future years, right? But we're doing this really hard focus in just because it was too much this year, right? So we need to figure out a way to not get overwhelmed by the amount that we're trying to do so that we can do what we want to do well. So I don't want to be a flower farm forever. I do want to grow food, and I do think it makes a lot of sense long term. I think there's stability and safety in growing food. It just the food didn't sell very well this year. You know, like I figured in any year when people would be like wanting to support like local, when our farmers market would be growing, you know, it would be this year, and we didn't necessarily see growth in our veggie sales. So, you know, but we saw major growth in the flower sales. So it only takes me to pivot. I have like 2 years worth of I have 2 years worth of seeds for veggie gardening. So if at any point I'm like, oh, there's lots of demand for food, I can grow food. I have the skill set, I have the prepared farmland. At any point I can grow food again. I can't afford to grow food for free, right? So we've discovered that people will pay money if you grow flowers for them. So we're gonna go for that. And then we can start adding in the stuff that makes more sense, right? If it's looking like there's gonna be more demand for food and stuff like that, we can start growing more food. You know, but we're gonna go for flowers. It's gonna look gorgeous. It's gonna look so good. You know, and we're gonna try to build some, maybe get some florists that'll be shopping with us. But we're gonna be concentrated on these like bright, cheery, market style flowers. And we're gonna go for it. And I'm really excited about next year. I was unsure about it being the right decision. I didn't know like what to do. All I knew was like something that we had to make a change. Like that things weren't progressing in the way I wanted to see them progress over the last couple of years. So I'm willing to make this like hard change, like, you know, a more sudden change than I would have been, because I think it's as likely to work as doing what we already were doing was working, right? I don't think we're going to lose anything by going for it. And we may, you know, it may be the gamble that pays off, right? And maybe next year will be the year that we have these incredible sales. Yeah, because we didn't get any sales growth on the farm this year. So, you know, we're not worried about money because the YouTube made money this year. So the YouTube will gladly fund the farm. But unless something changes, the farm won't be profitable by year 5, and they'll go grrr. Okay, but it's an hour and a half, and we got to get through all these things that I want. Okay, so here's a page of stuff that I wanted. I wanted poppies. Look at these, aren't these beautiful? And these are the Oriental poppies, right? So these are like the big flowering ones. And so I am going to be growing these beautiful flowers. Let's see, what did we buy? I think we got this one, this like beautiful pink, and then this frilly tipped one. Yeah, so we're growing this not because poppies make a good cut flower. They don't really make a good cut flower at all. We're going to be growing this for the poppy seed heads, right? So you can use those fresh in bouquets, or you can also dry them, right? So we will get to enjoy the beautiful poppies. So we picked the poppies that we wanted to see on the farm, but we won't be picking them for using. So I'm really excited because I keep seeing everyone's seed heads, and I'm like, oh, they look so good. I wish I had some. So I think we got like put in an order for like 50 poppies. So that should be lots. Oh yeah, and then here we go. Perovskaya, I don't know. Russian sage. I got some of this Russian sage. Cover my face. These are like, they grow super big, and they're like super drought tolerant. I think they're gonna be, I'm really excited for trying this. Trying this out for as like a filler. You know, I don't know how it's gonna do as a cut flower, but I'm really excited. Okay, and then finally, this is like the thing I'm the most excited about. Okay, so I bought 1 million like perennial phlox. Right, so I'm trying to cover my face with this. So these, I'm so excited for these. So these are gonna be like an early summer flower, and I think I put in an order for like 400. Right, so I'm gonna have like an entire garden bed of the perennial phlox. And so my mom's like a big gardener, and she has David, the variety David, in her garden, and it's like as tall as me. The flower heads are like these massive flower heads, and she always cuts them and uses them as like cut flowers, and they last like forever. They're really good cut flower, crazy height, beautiful big blooms, and they bloom at this time of year when, you know, like they bloom at this time of year when the summer annuals haven't started, right? So it's another one of these windows, right? Like, so the Ranunculus, we did super good with the Ranunculus. We had lots of sales for the Ranunculus, but then the Ranunculus fizzled out, and there was like, so it was like, oh, Ranunculus, amazing, you know, and then there's like zinnias, amazing, and there was this like lull period, right, when the Ranunculus fade before the zinnias were doing incredible, and that's like the phlox. That's like when the phlox go. So I'm really excited about them. I bought all like really tall ones, and then like a whole mix of colors. You know, the David is white, so I don't know why I bought it because I can't sell white flowers from. But they're really pretty, and so one of the things that we want to do with picking the flowers that we're doing, because we make these market bouquets, and if you've seen some of the recent the ranging parts in our harvest vlogs, I've been doing this bouquet that's like a sedum, which is like the size of like this massive sedum, and then I like tuck like a couple flowers around it, and it's like boom, it's done, a bouquet. It takes me like 1 minute. It's the fastest bouquet ever. Oh yeah, someone's mentioning mildew resistant. All the ones that I ordered were ones saying that they were the downy, like the mildew resistant. I was picky about that, because we do get that here. Yeah, okay, so yeah, doing these sedum bouquets. The sedum bouquets are incredible because they go together so quickly, right? And so what I need to do is what? No, I will come when I'm done. I will come give hugs and kisses, but it is what it is. Okay. So my plan with the, okay, sorry, I'm distracted. So I need more things like the sedum that have this like large value to themselves, right? So even though the sedum, I have to grow it all year before I like get the sedum as a cut. When I go to use it, it so quickly makes a bouquet that it makes it very valuable for the labor savings of the bouquet making, right? So it's this one really big flower with just one cut. It goes in, it's still really big for the final bouquets. So I need more things like that. And I haven't grown very many of those things because I've been very focused on getting really high production per square foot for my flowers, because we wanted to grow the most amount of stuff possible. Right? The focus has always been to like get a lot out of the farm. But I can kind of change my focus a little bit by focusing more on these flowers. And so the phlox is an excellent example. Phlox doesn't really make sense for me to have an entire bed of phlox in the farm right? Because so I have 52 beds on the farm, right? And I'll probably be able to put in another 30 beds. But so that means my entire farm is 80 beds, right? If one single flower in like a mixed veggie operation that's only good in this like period of time when there's a lull, that's a lot of like land value to give to one specific thing. But if I'm more focused on just doing these bouquets, then it makes a lot more sense to have this one specific thing for this one specific time, but it then makes it so I very quickly make these bouquets. So I need more stuff like that, and I feel like phlox is going to be this like perfect flower for doing that for me. Yeah, so I'm really excited. I'm really excited about a million of them. Please have them not be sold out. Please have them coming to me. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at on the phlox. It's kind of like into the bits and pieces now. Now it's like there's like a bunch of things that I was like, oh, I want to buy this, and then I didn't because I was like, it's not actually gonna be drought tolerant. There's a few things that I looked up and I was like, oh, likes to be wet. I was like, don't do it, Serena. Stay focused. You only get $10,000 to spend. Okay, I think I put in an order for some of these perennial salvias, but I can't remember. But I think I put in like for a couple of these taller ones. Like there's like the classic one and it's 20 inches tall. And I think I bought that. Because this is another one of those things like the phlox that blooms at these like weird in-between times when it's hard to get stuff. Oh, and then of course I was tempted. This is the sedum page. I wanted to buy 1 million of these, but I didn't because I could only spend $10,000. Oh, but I got this, which I'm super excited about. And anyone who doesn't live in a desert is gonna laugh and think this is hilarious. But I bought a pack of Solidago Goldenrod. I bought like 25 of them, I think, because I love it. It's so gorgeous. Like so good, but it doesn't grow here, right? It's like a weed for everyone else, but like I can't buy seeds for it because it's a weed. But it doesn't grow here, right? Because we're a desert, right? We can grow. We got some like cactuses and some yarrows growing on the side of the road. But there's definitely no goldenrod anywhere for me to go and dig. But I know it's gonna. I know once I have it, I'll be able to like propagate it really well. And I think that this is like maybe a more decorative variety because it's saying that it's only 28 inches tall. And like I think the goldenrod can be like a 60-inch one. But yeah, so I'm definitely excited to have some of that because I was very jealous of everyone else's beautiful goldenrod. Oh, you know what? Okay, so I totally bought some of the salvias, but then I was getting tempted to buy some of the veronicas. Okay, so they look kind of similar, right? They're like these spiky things. And I was like, oh, I should get this. Okay, yeah, because I have this one. Okay, let's get it really close. I have this one, and I like it as a cut flower, and it's a perennial, but they're quite short. And this was like the end. I was like, oh, maybe I should get this. And I was like, $10,000. Restrain yourself, Serena. Oh, wait, and then I think I put in an order for thornless raspberry. I think I put in an order for, can't remember, can be. And so that isn't actually for, I didn't order that for raspberries. I ordered it to put in a patch for raspberry greens as spring filler. Yeah, so, oh, how did I come up with my budget of only being able to spend $10,000? I told Ian, what should my budget be? And he said, you can spend all the money, I don't care. And then I was like, well, that's too much. Let's say 10,000. It's a very arbitrary number, so there is actually no reason why I can't spend more than $10,000. Ian gave me permission to spend as much as I want, but you gotta have like a limit, right? If you gotta have a limit, or else it gets dangerous. Great, I think that's everything. The end of the catalog. We're to the end of the catalog. So I'm very excited. I'm very excited about this stuff. And I know like I went through this and made it kind of sound like I bought a million things. But so when this stuff comes, I have to get it into the ground, right? So I am a little bit focused on not buying too much at once, because I don't want to buy so many perennials that I struggle to get them all planted out and then they die on me. So, and the spring is a busy time of year. So, I didn't want to go too crazy. So because the person that we had working with us this year isn't going to be working next year. Our plan is that we are going to try to get like someone, like a full-time employee, or maybe 2 part-time people, but I'd like to get someone like a single full-time person, someone who like we're committed, like we'll give them full-time work if they want it. But what am I saying? Oh yeah, so because I don't want to have so much stuff coming that I get overwhelmed by it while I'm also dealing with all the rest of, because when these show up, we'll be harvesting early stuff, right? We'll have the bulbs that we'll be harvesting. We won't have the seedling sale this year, but we will be growing seedlings for the farm. And we'll be planting too. We'll be planting some of our early cold hardy seedlings. And then we'll have to get this stuff into the ground as well. So I did buy a lot. Okay, I need like a minute to like. I know it's a lot, but I think I only have like 3 or 4 beds worth of seedlings that I have coming, right? And like what I was saying, like phlox, I bought a bed of phlox. But a lot of this stuff, they're like 25 plants. It's very fast to plant 25 plants. Like especially because it's not landscaping, right? It's just going to be like into the beds. So it's not like, oh, I need to like find a hole, I have to find a gap. It's just the garden beds are prepped, just go, our seedling trays there's 72 plants in a seedling tray, right? So to do 25 plants isn't that overwhelming. So I think I ordered the right amount to not be overwhelmed. And then, because I messed up my lily bulbs by like not getting them in soon enough last year. But I'm not going to make the same mistake this year because we have our walk-in cooler. It's one of those things that's going to be such a great resource for us. As soon as those lily bulbs come, they're going to get packed into the walk-in cooler. And then I'm never going to have to worry about them like growing and sprouting, right? Because I'll have them still being dormant in storage in the cooler. So I won't have to deal with them until I'm ready to deal with them. But yeah, so I'm really excited. I'm really excited about the stuff that's coming. And it like I put in the order. I still don't know yet what's coming. It makes it a little bit like, oh, Christmas once they send the order. But yeah, it will be fun. Yeah, and the road, someone's saying that we're gonna have all these on-farm sales, and we definitely are excited about having that roadside stand. The flowers especially are one of the things that was the hardest thing for us to sell here off farm, right? We had our carport with a fridge, right? So we can put food into the fridge for people to pick up. But it's so hot here in the summer. This last summer, we had lots of people who were doing special orders. And the flowers, we kept them like in our air-conditioned room in the outbuilding, and then they'd come, they'd have to contact us, here's the flowers that you're looking for, pull them out. Whereas now, they're going to be in the shed. It's just go help yourself, like pop. Oh, you want to buy yourself a treat of flowers? Just pop in. There's always flowers in there. And I know that our local community, they, from the weekend that we opened it, the flowers, like they flew out of there. And it was kind of like the very end of the flowers. So, you know, I'm thinking that when we have them in the spring and they go all summer and people can get into a routine of buying them, you know, it seems positive that there's going to be lots of success for next year. You know, the hope. Okay, but so I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out. So if you haven't seen it already, you gotta go check out the Halloween video. It's hilarious. We love it. It's our magnum opus. It's the best thing we've ever made. So definitely go watch it. Not suitable for small children. You know, it's not scary. I'd say like 10 plus, and it's fine. But it's like maybe scary for really little kids. And then we have the market this weekend. So we will have, we'll be doing a video for that. And we also have another like market video that we filmed from last week, that we need to get edited up. And then I got all of my tulip bulbs. So I was saying to Ian, I was like, I should probably make a video of opening up all my tulip bulbs. So I might film that and try to get that out this week, because we have to get those into the ground. And then I think we'll probably also make one about planting the tulip bulbs. We don't have pre-chilled tulips here because we get cold enough. We don't have to worry about them being pre-chilled, because we're in Canada. We get cold. But yeah, I think we'll make a video. Sorry, I'm running out. I've hit my limit for voice. Yeah, I think we're gonna make a video for planting the tulips, because this year we are going to be planting them the way that flower farmers plant them, which is like a totally different way of doing it, and it's kind of interesting and it's kind of unique. So I think we'll probably do a video on that. But Ian was talking about maybe like renting like a little digger, because we need to dig up a bed. So I don't know when that's gonna happen, but it's coming. Okay, thanks so much for hanging out, guys, and we'll see you guys next week. Okay, bye now.